What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and our good friends at Solasta Crown of the Magister are back with another video. They've recently rolled out their official 1.0 release, which also introduced a whole new class to the game, the Sorcerer. And they reached out and said, hey, we've done a lot of updates to the game, what do you think? So I said, well, let me dive back in and take a look. And I gotta tell you, I fell right back in love with Solasta right out the gate. I actually did it over a course of a couple of live streams, so any of the gameplay footage and stuff that you see in the background is just me playing the game. And, you know, we tried something different. I worked with the chat to design all the new characters, and we built a team, which I hadn't used before. And it was also nice to dive in to see what the different subclasses and options were for the Sorcerer. So we have Draconic Bloodline, which is the same that we have in the Player's Handbook, which you can take a look. Although, thank you, Solasta, for taking my advice and so many others. They get origin spells, because Solasta recognizes that Sorcerer needs some help. So we get Shield, Misty Step, Counterspell, and Greater Invisibility, and Hold Monster as origin spells for the Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer. So the Mana Painter gets Entangle, Barkskin, Sleet Storm, Fire Shield, and Conjure Elemental, and Mana Absorption. Your Charisma modifier is used if higher instead of other ability modifiers on your saving throws against spells and other magical effects. But let's see what we get at higher levels. So first of all, right out the gate, breaking the base core rules Sorcerer by giving them an ability at level 2. Now I think this is potentially to keep it more in line with how a cleric works, which I can make that, you could make that argument, right? Sorcerers are they're very different from every other class in when they get their abilities. They go 1, 6, 14, 18, I think, and most other ones are 1, 6, 10, 14, except for clerics are 1, 2, 6, 8, and then 17. So, and then this gives us Mana Drain, right at level 2. Make a melee spell attack. On a successful hit, the target takes damage, force damage equal to a d10 plus our Charisma mod, and we get a sorcery point back. We need to take a short rest to use it again, and then Mana Tap at 6th level. Whenever you finish a short rest, you regain a number of sorcery points equal to half your sorcerer levels rounded down, similar to basically an Arcane Recovery. And lastly, we get Child of the Rift as the other option. Immediately after you cast a sorcerer spell of level 1 to 5, roll a d20. If you roll a 20, your spell slot is not spent. That's a little bit strong, I'll be honest. And we do have some interesting spells here: Guiding Bolt, Aid, Daylight, Banishment, Greater Restoration. And if we look at our higher levels, Rift Deflection at level 2. You use a bonus action to spend a sorcery point to become harder to hit and achieve better saving throws until the start of your next turn. And 6, Offering to the Rift, you can use your bonus action to sacrifice 5 hit points in order to regain immediately 1 sorcery point. The sacrificed hit points are recovered after a long rest. And if you haven't seen, I'm going to show you over here on Steam real quick. So here's Solasta's page. The game itself is $39.99, but I think it's well worth that. And there is a ton of support. Now, I don't want to necessarily try to do a rag on Baldur's Gate 3, but Solasta is a smaller team, and they're limited by the open game license, but they're also freed by the open game license. They don't have to try to build things around the scope of the Forgotten Realms. They made up their own world of Solasta, and it's a lot of fun, and there's really good world building in the game as well. That being said, I believe this game currently goes up to level 10, and there's a significant amount of story here, crafting materials, and because it's on Steam and it's its own thing, there are a ton of mods. So if modding and doing that kind of stuff to your game is something that you're interested in, you can use that. And again, there are mods to create other classes. I've seen mods for barbarians, monks, warlocks, and druids. I haven't played around with them, but they're an option. And one of my minor nitpicks is the customization of the characters. They can only look so unique because you're only given basically 4 facial options. One of those mods gives you, I think, an extra 54. So you can really expand it out and make your characters look more unique. Also add in Variant Human as an option for you, because there's really no reason to play a human character in here. It seems to be at a disadvantage, but either way. So that being said, I just really love this game, and I'll say this up front, and I've said it before. If you are looking to replicate the 5e experience in the form of a single-player table, like a single-player video game, Solasta by and far does it better than anything else. the super clean UI, the just perfect replication of the mechanics in a variety of different ways by showing off things like having the ability to ready an action. You know, I ready an action to make an attack if someone comes within range. And it'll say, you know, it basically gives you all the little pop-ups, right? You know, you hit with a paladin. Do you want to smite? Yes or no? Oh, someone's going to hit you with an attack. Do you want to cast shield? Yes or no? You know, all these little things. And it's even the little overland travel, right? You have someone in your party that can cast Goodberry. Do you want to have them prioritize casting Goodberry every day so that the party doesn't need to spend rations because they can eat the Goodberry and be sustained all day? Things like that. There's a lot of really awesome stuff. And one of the things that I think is really great is the custom subclasses that are in here because, again, being limited by the open game license, they can really only use one race or one sub-race and one subclass for each of the existing classes. Everything else needs to be created so as you have options. So, you know, you have one paladin, one cleric, one fighter, and so on. Then they had to make up a bunch more. And I really like the lore behind them, as well as the mechanics. And even Solasta understands that the sorcerer needs some help. So we got that as well. Something else worth mentioning about Solasta is also this beta that you see right here of the Dungeon Maker, which allows you to create your own dungeons if you want that other people can play. So if we were to click new location down here, we can now design our own dungeon in the world of Solasta Crown of the Magister for really whatever we want, right? For maybe you find this as an easier way in your head to build maps for your D&D campaign. And so let's just call this test, and we'll just hit apply. So we can go ahead and take a room, and we could drop it right here. And now we have our room, right? And then we say we want to do a crossroads. We want a furnished room here. We drop it right here, okay? Then we've got here some outstairs. Now, again, because Solasta, you're building this in a top-down sense, but Solasta is a low to the ground. You can see these are more stuff you'd see when you're walking around in-game. And then a variety of different gadgets, monsters, virtual loot, so on. Let's go to Monster G, and we're going to drop him right there. And then I'll also tell you folks, I have not played around with this beyond what you're literally seeing me do right now. So this is a true test of how easy this is to do. Oh, we can select our creature here. So let's make it a green dragon. Why not? Select. Auto spawn. Do we want to add... Oh, so it says here, click to add loot. We could pick a variety of different loot. Let's give it something magic. Magic device. How about this guy's got a belt of giant strength on him? All right, we add that, and we can add whatever else we'd like to. We can determine the lighting, if there's pushable blocks, hidden doors, so on. So I'm going to say we save it. And... Oh, we could even choose the music and we'll listen to it. What ambient mood and then the visual mood of our location here. We can apply that. Oh, I didn't even look at that. We can do character and character level, the minimum and the maximum character level. Well, we're going to say the maximum level is going to be 10. Hit apply. Save. Now, I want to learn how we can play test it. Quick launch the selected location with a predefined party. The location must have an entrance. Okay, so let's add an entrance. Okay, we've got traps, lore area, activated lore, lore planks, entrance. Here we go. Put our entrance right there. Now can we play test? You must save your location. Save. Okay, play test. Let's find out how my dungeon goes. And we have a predetermined party. Okay, let's just take our party down our long hallway here. And here's that. See, now this room here we're in, this was pre-furnished. And there's our green dragon. He's coming right at us. And he's going to completely destroy our level 1 party. He's got 207 hit points. Oh, man. We are just going to get wrecked. Okay, he's going to end his turn. Huh, I can't target the dragon. We'd use a cantrip? Interesting. It's not targetable for some reason. Okay. Oh, it's using a legendary action. Look at that. To do a wing attack and completely kill our cleric. And you see it shows that it used 2 of its 3 legendary actions. Alright, now what about what's this, our wizard? How about a magic missile? And then we're gonna go take cover again. And let's see, is it gonna use another legendary action? It is. Oh, it's its turn. Oh boy. Breath weapon time. Yup. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun. And there's other, if I go back and show you, if we go into this, you can see all of these pre-made dungeons that people have made that you can go ahead and use. Look at all these different ones. Here's the test one that I just made, and I believe you can make these available to the public if you want, or at least share them for people to be able to use them. And that was super fun. You could obviously make whatever you want. I think you could have a lot of fun. I don't know if you can, like, again, if you wanted to have, like, your players play through it and you wanted to try something to make something, a unique encounter, something crazy, you could have a lot of fun with that. And that is a very ambitious thing that is just added into the game for free. We're in version 1.1.11, and that's just an option that you have, which is fantastic. Take that, spider. Oh, Jenny, what can you do? Prevent incoming attack? Yeah. Block that with a shield spell, Jenny. Good job. Yeah, let's use your power that we just got back, Herald of Pain. Another one bites the dust. Take that, you dumb spiders. Okay. Jenny. Oh, twin spell. You get you and you. Nice. All right, this is going well. Ow. That hurt a little bit. What is this one? A blind effect? Let's go with that. Okay. Solid maneuver. You can attack this guy with advantage. Nice. Well struck. It does resist the attacks, it looks like. And this blindness is coming in clutch right now. Oh, that's another thing that I wanted to show off that they've added. So if you go to start a new adventure, they've added this, which is a variety of different modes for people who want to experience the game differently. And I've seen this going around on a bunch of different TikToks about the concept of games having easy modes for people who just want to enjoy the story and possibly are not, you know, the best at playing video games. Well, look at this. For players who prefer to focus on the story, exploration and combat will be simplified. So it's cutting stuff down, making it easier so you can experience it more. There's Explore mode. It says for players unfamiliar with the concept of tactical RPGs or the D&D rule set. So someone who wants to play a video game and explore but doesn't necessarily want to be super tied up by the mechanics. Then we have Authentic mode, which is to replicate the authentic D&D experience, which is the standard version. We have Scavenger mode, which is just for people who want it to be harder. So this is, you know, making it a little bit more difficult. Then we have Cataclysm mode, and it says for players looking to defy the odds, you will suffer a lot. So a very difficult mode. And we also have an Iron Man mode, which only the latest save can be loaded and all saves are destroyed if the group is defeated. This option cannot be changed during the game. So this is essentially like a hardcore nightmare style mode where if you're defeated, it erases the game, so you have to start fresh. So they've added all of this stuff in, and I love that because it takes just, it's the concept I've been talking about recently, like templates, right? It takes a game that is fun and great in and of its own right and adds a ton of options for replayability. Now, one of the things that's nice is you get to design your entire party yourself. So I could play through the game right now with my party, and you could play through the game with your party, and we could have a completely different experience because you're playing it a different way than I am, which is pretty awesome. But on top of that, I could then say, hey, I want to try out Iron Man mode. And then I could say, how do I want to do that? Well, maybe I want to do a team of all clerics or a team of all paladins or design something different to try to hit Iron Man mode and win. Maybe I want to go super just difficult and go Iron Man Cataclysm and just go for the hardest possible difficulty and see how I can do it. Could I do it with all fighters? I don't know. It's a lot of fun stuff you can do. And again, like I said, the mod scene just adds that much more replayability to the game. And I've talked about it before. You can see all of the, if we just cancel that new adventure here, there's a bunch of pre-written characters, pre-designed characters, and then there are the ones that I've made. And then I obviously could just hit continue to play the game if I wanted to. And if I wanted to design a new character, you can see here are my options. I can choose from a variety of different things. Like I said, human's just a +1 to all ability scores, so you might want to pick that variant human mod. And here's our sorcerer, as we were talking about here. And like I said, you've got a Draconic Bloodline as designed in the player's handbook, and 2 new ones, the Mana Painter and the Child of the Rift. Something else I really like, I've talked about it in the past, but is I can use the standard array. I can use point buy if I would like, or I can just roll dice. And I can sit here and I can just roll as much as I want until I get something that I like the way it looks or whatever the case may be. There's also options in the settings that you can basically do, or is it under point buy? You can hit free edit and you can just make your characters have whatever abilities you want, and there's no limitation. And again, if you want to go super, super hardcore that way. But I thought that was a really cool option as well. Other things you can do is play around. I've talked about them in the past, the different settings. Play around with the encumbrance to make it more traditional D&D, change the way somatic components work. They've really thought of everything that I know I've often said this, like a D&D game is always tricky because in the D&D tabletop game, there are no limitations in what you can do. You can basically do whatever you want, and that's hard to replicate in a video game because that has a structured code that you need to follow. But I'm going to be honest, Solasta does a really good job of allowing you to do that by just having the little toggleable options that basically are like, hey, if I would homebrew this in my game, I can just uncheck this box, and now this is now my option to change and adjust as I see fit. And like I said, the mod scene allows you to take it that much further. So I think if you're looking for a really fun Dungeons & Dragons game and you don't know what to play, I highly recommend Solasta Crown of the Magister. It is available on Steam right now. You can go pick it up. The price is the price of a standard video game, and that's what this is. Bonus points if you grew up in like the PS1, PS2 era, because I feel like in some instances, at least the character, like the animations and the cutscenes kind of remind me of that. I'm super nostalgic for that, so I love it. So I'm all about it. But the story is fantastic. The world building is excellent. The way the little the dice roll and the fact that you can customize the dice that roll on screen, whether they're for you, different damage types for the enemies, that's a simple thing that Solasta could add as a little like fun pack that you could either have it as a free update or add it as a small little purchasable thing to just add new dice options for you to add. For example, obviously you guys know orange is my favorite color, and I roll consistently with a set of just orange translucent dice at the table, and orange is not a color I can pick for the dice. So Solasta, if you're listening, can you add orange dice? You can call them the Nerd Immersion set. I don't care, but I just would love orange dice in the game. So thank you all so much for watching. A huge thank you to Solasta for reaching out to sponsor this video, but also to introduce me to their game in the first place. Something that, like I said, I usually don't get into the mod scene of games just because I was always a console gamer, so the concept of mods always threw me off. But the fact that I could play a druid or a bard or a monk, I want to do that. So I am going to go mess around with the mods and play around with the customization variant human, and all this other fun stuff. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Have you played Solasta Crown of the Magister? Did you come out and watch it on the stream with me? Was that your first introduction to it? Also, a huge thank you and shout out again to the Solasta team for providing me codes to do a giveaway. I did on one of my live streams where we were playing the game. I gave away 5 different copies of the game to folks in the chat, which was super awesome. So I'm having a lot of fun with this playthrough, and it's really fun to do it with the chat as well. So we may continue this random Solasta live stream throughout just till I finish, the game. So feel free to keep an eye on the Nerd Immersion social medias here and here on YouTube, because I'll probably be streaming it here. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.